What is going on, everyone? Before we get into today's video, I want to give a big shout out to A1 Comics for A1 Wednesday. Don't forget to follow them on Instagram. Their link is in the description below. They have live sales every Wednesday and Friday on the IG. Don't forget to check them out on Twitch every Thursday as well. And of course, they are on the Whatnot app. What's up, guys? So
we were sitting here bagging and boarding books, organizing a collection, and we were watching your video. And Alex is very knowledgeable on the subject, being someone who's worked in the comic book industry for dealers, for facilitators, and as a CGC witness. And he has probably dealt with CGC customer service more than anyone that I know. So
I did work for a facilitator, and so I've been an active CGC witness for a while now. Love going to shows. It's awesome because they don't have to be there. I can just go get stuff done, get stuff signed, do private signings, and get that yellow label. It's awesome. So some things I want to point out, if you can't see this. This, if it loads, this is the Qualified Signature Series label.
Awesome.
So this is a very rare label. You don't see this a lot because most people that have a book that's qualified won't want to go through the process of then signing it again to get that label. But the yellow label is only specifically for the witness signature. So you could have anybody you want write on it or a sketch, but they will only witness what's actually done. So I believe, based on the wording from CGC Mike, is that it said any book that was witnessed by Clayton Crane. So it sounds like they're aware that this book will get an acetate, will get a green label no matter what.
Right.
But if you choose to then have it signed, you will get a yellow label with the green bar. However, what you don't realize, they're saying that if it's already signed by, you'll get that green label. Well, if it's already signed by Clayton Crane, what they're basically saying is you can send it in again. And if you want a double sig on it, you can, but the second sig will be witnessed because it's the same as having it no book signed. Does that make sense? Not everybody's going to want to get their book signed twice, but they're basically giving you an opportunity that if it was already signed, it's still going to be a green label no matter what. So send it in again. They'll witness the second Clayton Crane signature, and you will get a green, yellow and green if you want to do that. It's not for everybody, but some people do that.
So you are saying that this might be a specific situation where somebody might say, well, it might be worth it to have them sign it twice because of this specific.
Just if they want to get that yellow label, yellow and green label. But I think that it's not. People have so much money to this already. If they have it, like, why are you going to want to do the whole process again?
Yeah, good point. Yep. Okay, so I appreciate you coming on and sharing this, Alex, and to the folks that were in the comments that brought it up. I'm humbling myself a little bit here. This makes a lot more sense. But one thing I brought up, and then Alex, you can give your unbiased opinion, or just maybe even your thoughts, or maybe you even know. Are you even aware of when, I mean, obviously this announcement came out yesterday. Was there already something scheduled with Clayton Crane for CGC in their SS series?
I'm almost positive there was not. I mean, you can go to cgc.com right now, log in, go to submissions, and just go on the right to their private signings and do the drop down to see if it's listed. But I was in Boston when Clayton Crane canceled. I was by the booth the whole time. I mean, I was working my booth, but I was walking around getting pictures to see what's going on, see the hype, see the guy hiding in the middle of his booth. I was there. I watched him. I did watch him talk to security guard after he did get harassed. But I want to point something out. This is the most important thing that I didn't believe. Obviously, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I don't think anybody saw this part of it. When I was there, I managed to go look at the Tenno in person, and I was able to see it.
This is a good one.
And I'm trying to find the picture. Okay.
The Tenno.
So there's apparently two Tennos, two submissions, one Tenno in each submission. Okay. First, let me show you the 9.9. Okay. This is the 9.9 so you can see. I'm going to zoom in really quickly just so everyone can see it and show the picture. All right. This is, give me a second. There is the T, the 9.9. Take a look. Ready? You're not going to believe this, but this is 100% real. Okay. This is the 10.0. This is the 10.0. There is a huge dot on the 10.0 that is not in the 9.9. And if you do not believe me, I will just show you the picture of the 10.0. Well, give me a second, of the 10.0. And we're just going to zoom in, and we're going to see that dot on that T. So I don't know why they decided to give this copy the Tenno.
And you saw that book in person.
I held it in my hands. I looked at it. I looked at the picture
That's
twice.
a picture you took, right?
I took that picture from my own phone at their booth.
And there's no way that was something that was in the case, on the case.
It's on the book itself. Now, it may be a print defect, but if it is, that should not have been the copy that was chosen as the Tenno.
Wow. That is just...
Chosen is an interesting word there to use.
Yeah.
Chosen as the Tenno.
It gets, right. I was thinking that same thing, Joe. It gets deeper here. This whole, oh my gosh. So, okay. Let's, now, if we go back to their comment, when they were mentioning that only, I'm going to bring it up on my phone here. Everyone's seen it. So I'm just going to bring it up on my phone and read this one little part where it talks about, it has to be a published artist. Let's read this again just to get proper context here. Going forward, CGC will only certify artist created covers that are first approved by CGC. And those covers must be signed by the artist through the Signature Series program to receive the qualified Signature Series label. The cover must be created by a published artist. So they're basically saying this doesn't have to do with necessarily the green label versus the blue label. They're just saying specifically what they're willing to witness and certify as a Signature Series witness book.
They want to make sure that if they don't approve, Marvel or DC, whoever the publisher is, if they don't approve that work of art that's leaving their company, like, you cannot put your own cover on a book and say it came from them. Now, if they were just to say, hey, we put our own copy on, this is an exclusive, it's not been certified by Marvel or anything, if they did that, Marvel might have still said no, but I don't think they were selling it as their own copy. They were selling it as their own variant copy of a Marvel book. So you just can't do that. So they're just saying, hey, we saw this on Clayton Crane's Instagram. We thought it was okay. We thought it was his cover. Turns out it wasn't approved.
Be right back.
We're going to do the extra work just to make sure that if this happens again, we don't want to run into this. Joe just transformed into a dog.
Yeah, we got Scooby-Doo guest
360. We don't want the situation again. We want to make sure. Now, here's the thing, is that the artist has their own CGC account. So if Clayton Crane wants to sign books for himself and send them in on his own account, he can do that and get those books. But the question is how CGC is going to approve them. Like how do they figure out what's approved, what's allowed or not? Because they then have to do their own research and talking to whatever publisher it is. And I don't know if they have, how easy it is for them to get that information, because obviously they did not get the right information this time. Now, I'm not saying that they put more tracks in the place to fix that, but it happened once. They have to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. Okay. So, hypothetical here then, if this Black Flag acetate happened the same way it did, with Black Flag doing it, how they do it, the same exact process. If this actually happened a few months from now, then they wouldn't even if Clayton Crane was doing a CGC Signature Series signing, that it would be a no, because it wasn't Clayton Crane doing it himself and getting prior approved by CGC.
I think that if he is doing a signing, even if it's not through his account, they will follow the rules that they posted out. So if you have your own acetate cover, of this book that you bought yourself, you can send it into any future Clayton Crane signing. Or I'm assuming if he's at a show, you could theoretically do that too. And they're just doing this post as just a general in the future, hey, for this specific book with an acetate cover that we didn't approve, because we have certain methods for acetate covers that we need to get done, and you didn't do this, so this was not approved. At any time in the future, if this cover comes to us signed by Clayton Crane, even if it's witnessed, this is what we're doing.
Okay, we got economics and comics. What's going on? Thank you for popping in. Let's see. The CGC SS comments are smoke screens. What it means is, hey guys, if you want your unsigned garbage signed while we have it. We'll give you your yellow label. I do, and I was saying that earlier in the show. I do think that's still there because it's like out of the blue. Oh, hey, CGC's okay. What can we do? Well, we got to backtrack. We got to give them a green label, but let's still try to milk this. Hey, Clayton, what's going on, man? Hey, you want to make a little extra money and save our asses? Get over here and start signing some of these books. So I do feel that's there, but I do appreciate, we got Joe 360, Alex here, talking, kind of just giving more context and depth to, again, regardless of intent, I think we all as consumers and collectors, and many of us customers of CGC, we want to really understand, because like I said, I came out of everything that they've been doing, all the little statements they've been making, and that's why the title of the show tonight is what it is, because I'm just like, they're over there just drunk, like, okay, what can we do next? So with that being said, though, to me, it's still a bit confusing on what CGC is stating that how they are going to approve something like this. One example that comes to mind is, and I keep bringing this up, and I know it's pretty different, but you have artists that will take, like one that was popular was I know there was the Venom Lethal Protector #1, where there was an artist that, I don't know if he used Copic markers or he like took Venom's face and they like go on the actual book and change the whole, I think somebody put like white Venom or Agent Venom.
Sam De La Rosa?
Sounds familiar.
Sam De La Rosa did that cover, but he's also he's one of the guys that usually likes to draw huge Venoms on the side of the covers, like had nothing to, like complete Venom side profiles that completely changed the book.
Right. So I'm assuming something like that. And again, if it's witnessed by CGC, I mean, they're kind of altering the book, but if it's the actual artist, that's also signing the book, it's all part of that signature. That's why you get the yellow label, because they're witnessing it. So if they're drawn on it, so are they saying that if if Jim Lee in the future has a his own incentive variant and he's doing a signature series signing and he's sitting at the table and he wants to staple an acetate cover to one book just to kind of maybe he draws his own art on it, then they're still kind of considering that the same thing, or is that where they're still going to give it a qualified?
So you cannot change, you cannot add something to a book that's been published that hasn't been officiated. So, so by adding the acetate cover, you're damaging the book by adding staples. Regardless, if you take the staples out, marry it onto it, put the staples back in and have it there, it wasn't officially produced that way. So think of a sign like a sketch, whether it's a little remark or whatever. On blanks, you could have the smallest dot. You could have a front-sided blank where the whole thing is done. But they're still just drawing on the officially approved cover. If you go to add something, that is when the issue starts. Now, that artist drawing on that can still be witnessed because that they are still doing something and that's being verified. But the book as an item itself is no longer original and has now been altered, so it gets the qualified grade for that.
Okay. Okay. And then I got one more question for you, Alex, and I want to have Joe jump in here and give some thoughts. But going back to this, the last little bit of their statement talking about going forward, CGC will only certify artist-created covers that are first approved by CGC. So now, Alex, you did state, I mean, this still goes back to the publisher, right? So I'm assuming, even though they're not saying it, because if I was CGC, I could look at this and say, well, guys, we in the future aren't going to approve anything unless it's approved by the publisher. But they didn't say that. They're still saying we need to approve it. But are we to assume that they are stating that us as an entity, we need to protect ourselves and we're not going to approve anything if it's not yet, following the criteria that you had just previously stated from the actual publisher in that manufacturing process?
Yeah, because you have to assume that they did one of two things. They brought the Clayton Crane variant cover and the acetate cover to Marvel, and Marvel said yes and no, or they brought one to Marvel and Marvel said yes. They did not approve that. So by doing that, they basically broken that trust and basically did something that, I mean, if you're a small publisher, you can do what you want. It's your rules. So maybe you approve the acetate cover. I think that they're covering the ground by wording it that way because it may be, not everything is a big publisher. Publisher is more or less, I mean, Turtles won Mirage, but how big was Mirage? It was just, just as an example. So they're using that word loosely. I think what CGC needs to do to fix this is something really easy, and they did it in the past. When their character labels were found to have restoration labels, the resto on them, and the character labels got blue labels because there was no purple character label. They basically said, hey, if you have a blue label that's restored, it should be purple. So what do? Send your books in. We will hold them for free because our credibility is on the line. You're not putting any money out. We're going to fix the issue for you, and boom, everyone wins. I mean, as best as you can.
Yep.
Now, will they do that? I don't know. But that should be the best thing to do is say, send us your books. We'll fix the labels, and we'll go from there. Now, if you have a yellow label book like this, are you going to want to send them for a green label? I don't think so. So how do you force that? You can't. But it's the market can determine it by not spending the money on those. Now that these labels are here, everybody watching this, if you can even buy this book, just be aware that you cannot buy the blue label books, the yellow label books, and just get the right ones, and the market can correct itself for this.
I will say this, Joe, I want you to jump in here. I will say this, though. I think there is incentive here. And this, again, this could actually, CGC might be, a little less drunk than I'm giving them credit for. Because this may be actually a smart move in actually getting rid of some of the blue labels that are out there. Because personally, if I had a blue label, I wouldn't want to just, even if CGC was going to do it for free, why do I want to give this book to CGC for them to send it back and give me a green label? Hell no. But then on the flip side, well, I can't sell it. I'm stuck with it. It doesn't matter if it's blue. It's got the scarlet letter. So, wait, you know what I can do? I can actually send it in for the signature series. I could get Clayton Crane to sign it. It's going to get a yellow signature series label, but it's the yellow-green qualified, sure. But at least now it's certified. So that can be something where there's this middle ground of there is some type of resolve, and it could pique people's interest to actually do that instead of sitting on the blue labels. Joe, thank you again, both of you. Thank you. I mean, this was perfect. I'm so glad you guys hopped in because it added so much context to the things that I wanted to address. And again, Joe, you probably heard me saying, I mean, when I first read this, it was very hard to kind of make sense of it all because first off, we know where they've been the last couple of weeks and just kind of reissuing these statements and now going back on their words. But do you feel like with this final statement here and then with the context that we had today, do you feel like CGC is moving in the right direction? And regardless of that answer being yes or no from you, do you also feel like they are still trying to handle this in a way that's going to bring them as much money as they can, no matter what? So,
yes, I do think they're moving in the right direction. I think it took them a little too long to start doing so. This is going on into the third week now. So I think this is something that they could have jumped on sooner and corrected sooner. Unfortunately, as we know with CGC, they're behind on a lot of things. They're going through a lot of changes internally as well as externally with the market and stuff like that. Maybe they handled it the fastest they could without, falling even further behind. So yes, though, I do think that they're moving in the right direction with it. But of course, any company, especially a company that recently sold off a lot of their, their shares, their ownership to a investment firm, BlackRock, I believe, was involved with purchasing a portion of CGC. Yeah. Of course, they're going to have the shareholder in mind and profitability in mind. That's just kind of a no-brainer under the economic conditions that we live in. As far as the people that are quick to jump on the cancellation of CGC and say that they won't use it anymore. That's totally your right. And I'm not telling you what to do with your money and what companies to support. I, for one, am not that easily swayed in either direction. CGC has had a lot of negative things come up over the past couple years, between long wait times, a lot of issues with quality control. I've even seen a book put in the case upside down. And just last week, a friend of mine got 2 books shipped back to him, only one of which he sent in, and both of them had the same registration number on them. So that
wow.
Yeah, I mean, there have been problems. That being said, I'm not anti-CGC, but I'm also not, CGC is infallible and can do no wrong.
Right.
I'm that middle ground person who says, I would like CGC to succeed, and I would like them to be, continue to be there for the community, especially because I like uniformity in my collection, and most of my PC is CGC slabs. That being said, they certainly do not make choices that I personally agree with all the time. And I do hope that they can figure out a situation for this that, can transcend this situation particularly and be available to them in the future. I think we're going to see a lot of kinks being worked out, even in this exact circumstance, because I think that people that do send books in, this specific book, I think some of them are going to have different results because of how what's the word? Inconsistent. Inconsistent. CGC has been.
You can see they're actively working on trying to work on the situation. So they are trying to figure out what's best. And I mean, maybe they've been talking about it every single day internally, and this is the first, major change because now they're all on. But it looks like they've been working on it nonstop because this has been the biggest controversial issue in the industry in a long time. And especially with 3 shows major back to back, everyone's talking about it together. And so they definitely see that, they're aware. And I think it's great. I mean, whether you approve or not, I mean, they are actively working on this issue.
Yeah, I hear you guys. Joe, I share a lot of the things, the same sentiment that you shared. I'm the same way. Chris Olson, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, after the last few months with CGC in the entire market, I've been not getting any comics graded anymore from anybody. A little bit of bitter taste. I get that, Chris. Thank you again so much. He said one more thing here. If I get anything graded, I'll be going to EGS. I do believe he meant EGS. Because what I get out of grading is keeping the condition of the book and making it look about as fine. I hear you, Chris. And look, and I'm hearing a lot of, I think, was it economics? Somebody said, just the fact that Clayton is involved in even signing these books, it just leaves a bad taste. I get it, everyone. I understand the frustration. I understand the backlash. And this is just another layer of it that we've all been experiencing over the last few weeks. But I do like a lot of the things that Joe said, because oftentimes we have to find a middle of the road approach to actually solving problems, because to be quite honest, that's how problems get solved. Now, let's take the example. Somebody was saying, oh, it's just a PR move. You're probably right, but that's business, right? So would we rather not be in a situation where a big company like CGC wouldn't have to worry about PR? I would, because that means that somebody's at least putting the fire under their butts, right? It's like McDonald's raising wages, okay, raising their pay, or offering full benefits, or online schooling programs. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter of intent when it comes to businesses. At the end of the day, I mean, I wish it did. I think we all wish it did. We wish that the people sitting up at the executives tables in their suit and ties, on the 88th floor of that skyscraper, we wish that they were sitting there singing Kumbaya and actually saying, what are we going to do today to make a difference in all those little people down there? Maybe some of them care, maybe they do, but it doesn't come through their business practices. And then once they put the suit and tie on and they clock in, it's all business. But you know what they do care about? Their money. So if McDonald's is sitting up at the executives table, all the CEO, the COO, and the executives are sitting there saying, guys, like, we're losing money because of turnaround. Or no, people are quitting. We pay X amount of dollars to hire them and then X amount of money to train them. And before we can even finish their training, they quit. We rehire. It's costing us. We have to change something. What can we do? Let's better quality of life, because we realize that by offering quality of life, it's going to cost us more up front, but then we can actually keep employees, and that's going to cost us less in overturn, because so you weigh the cost benefit analysis. And if these things that affect human beings and us in our daily lives in an ethical way or a positive way, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the intent. So you could say the same thing for CGC. We wish, maybe there are some folks, we don't know, we wish that CGC was sitting up at the execs table saying, we care so much about these collectors and we put them through hell. Oh my gosh, we can't even put the right, book in the right case. My girlfriend's hair got in the case last night because I brought the books home to grade, because I just, didn't want to work overtime in the, whatever it may be. We wish that they cared about us, but what they do care about is their bottom line. And folks, nothing's going to change. We have more power than we give ourselves credit for. We speak with our voices, we speak with our purchasing powers, and we speak with public perception. And if public perception starts eroding, then yeah, they are going to jump to some PR moves. But hopefully those moves, again, regardless of intent, lead to some changes that are actually going to benefit the collector at the end of the day. So with that being said, I want every company in this hobby to succeed. I want to continue to hold companies accountable. CGC is really shooting themselves in the foot a lot as of late, but I want you all got to understand, it's like CGC's, anybody that sits here and says CGC is going the way of PGX, and somebody asked that, do you think CG, and I'm not mocking them, they asked a serious question. I said, no, absolutely not. CGC will never go the way of PGX, because you can't even put, that would be like saying, that would be like if Jordan was in the middle of his career and Joe Blow that, made it to the NBA, but got like 5 minutes playing time over his first season and then retired. That'd be like saying, hey, Jordan's in the middle of his career. Do you think he's going to go the way of Joe Blow? No. Jordan could get injured. He could retire. He can, do any horrible thing at that point. He's already been Jordan for half of his career, and that already is not Joe Blow that only played 5 minutes in one season and then was done with the NBA. CGC is not going the way of PGX, and as we know it, they're not going anywhere. But it doesn't mean that we can't continue to hold them accountable and continue to talk about these things and continue to put the fire on high under their asses. So my recommendation, guys, moving forward is, I understand we get upset, we get filled with emotions, and we want to react, we lash out, we go on social media, we do this. I mean, I did that today. That was the whole point of this show. But thankfully, we have two awesome guests that came and brought context, and it allows me now to sit with it. And I can look at it from a better perspective to say, this makes sense, this still doesn't make sense, and what power do I have moving forward to speak either with my purchasing power or with my channel and the influence I have there, or whatever. And I want all of you guys to do the same, because we can make a difference, even if we're just throwing one little pebble in that stream at a time to change that flow of that stream forever. So with that said, I do want to give our guests an opportunity to have a final word before we wrap up here. Alex, I mean, again, you shed so much light on so much. I really appreciate your
your insight here. It was absolutely needed. Any just kind of final thoughts on, you know, kind of closing the door on this, or maybe even advice for those people that are really just kind of like at wit's end here with CGC?
I mean, CGC is still the number one. They're not going anywhere. They have $500 million. They're not going anywhere. So people that are selling their slabs and want to get rid of them, pick them up for cheap. I mean, the market is the market the way it is right now. I do want all grading companies to succeed, but I also want all grading companies to be honest and do well and just be successful, because a healthy marketplace is good for everyone. You know, I mean, CGC should offer incentives to rival CBCS. CBCS should offer incentives to rival PGX. EGS should do what they're doing now. Their labels are cool. I personally show the slab.
Well, hold on a second.
I don't know. I haven't used them enough to know their grading like I know CGC's inconsistently, but I might give them a chance. But it's just healthy to have competition, but just be aware, you know, all slab companies have customer service issues. They all have quality control issues. It's just you don't see them all. People post the negative things. You know, you're not going to post all the positive things that I got. You're going to see the negative things. So yes, there are lots of mechanical error issues, lots of encapsulation issues. But think of what you're not seeing. You know, there's lots of things that are going well, and we're just focusing on the negatives. So just remember, spend your money on what you want to spend your money on, and be happy when you do it, because at the end of the day, you're buying stuff for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amen.
Joe.
Yeah. So this is what I kind of talk to everyone about because I've had people come to me about grading and the companies all the time. CGC, you know, there's pros and cons. There's the issue with quality control. There's the wait times that have definitely improved. And, you know, there's issues like this that are kind of more moral issues. There are pros, though. You know, CGC books, when you do decide to sell them, generally sell more than any other grading company. Now, CBCS, I've heard that they have worse customer service than CGC. I've heard that their cases are way better than CGC. And in my opinion, this is totally an opinion, I think their label looks a lot worse than CGC. You know, PGX, I'm not even going to include them in the conversation. And I really don't think they get a lot of respect in the comic book community. But if you like them, support them. Why not? Now, I do want to say I have a lot of CGC slabs. I have some CBCS slabs. And as of this week,
Woo, yeah.
I've got this bad boy right here, my first ever EGS slab. Now, I am not a big displayer of comic books. I generally keep things in the box, tucked away from harmful UV rays. But
bring that up here.
Not super expensive or anything like that. This is, for those of you who don't know, Darth Vader 20, the first cover appearance of Din Djarin and the Mandalorian and Grogu. And this is an EGS slab, which does have a really, really nice custom label. Not only is it, Beskar colored, just like the Beskar border here, but also it has a little picture. You might not be able to see them, but little pictures of Grogu and Mando up top. First of all, Chris, thank you. And thank you to Jeff, and thank you to Tony over at EGS for this giveaway book, this little prize from Comic Book Cannons, fresh from the comic shop. And also, like, this is cool. This looks awesome. And I've seen ones, especially ones with like red covers that have red labels. Right. Those look super sick. For people that display their comics, this is the company for you. And I'm not that person, but I totally respect this company, what they're doing, and the people that want to support them. So